Islam Makhachev is already the lightweight GOAT of the UFC. And honestly, I don't know how this is still such a hot take to the whole community, but I think it's starting to spread a little more finally. I don't know if it's a respect thing where they feel the need to put Khabib above Islam still because he's big bro or something. I really don't know. Because a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, still have either Khabib or Charles Oliveira as their lightweight GOAT. And honestly, I think it's just blatant disrespect to Islam, but he's definitely used to it at this point after all the slandering he's received from Dana White and the media to try to make John Jones look better, but it's whatever. So yeah, in my opinion, he's already the GOAT of the division, especially when you break it down and look really closely at it, like I'm going to do in this video. And if he's able to beat Armen in the rematch for the second time, especially if he makes it look dominant or finishes him, I think it's not even a debate anymore at that point. I still think it is a debate, but I do think he's the GOAT of the division already. If Islam's able to right one of the few wrongs in his career of not a lot of competitive fights, Armen was one of the few people who was able to give him a competitive fight. So if he's able to make this look dominant or finish him dominantly, it's not even a discussion at that point. So today we're going to take a closer look at Islam's entire career and compare it to the few people that rival him in the division's history and see who really is the lightweight GOAT. We'll start first with who I think is the third best lightweight in Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I know this is going to make some of y'all so mad, and I do think it's really close, the number 2 and 3 spot, but I think Charles is slightly over Khabib. And yeah, I know it's wild to say because Charles has a bunch of losses and Khabib literally has none, but hear me out, okay? And I'm sorry, this also needs to be said. Being undefeated like Khabib is the most overrated fucking thing of all time. Yes, it is very impressive to be undefeated, a feat not many can accomplish, but people act like it's the number one thing that matters in this discussion, and they just use it to try to win arguments. When being undefeated is just a statement, it's a stat. It really doesn't say much about your legacy. Like, you fought twice and got cut. Cool, you were undefeated. No one really cares. And let's not act like Gleison Tibau did not basically beat Khabib. Like, Khabib failed to wrestle that whole fight and got outstruck. Go watch it if you don't believe me. So Khabib has 7 impressive wins, being Eisen Barboza, Michael Johnson, Rafael dos Anjos, Ali Quinta, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, and then retiring after beating Justin Gaethje. And yes, this was such a dominant run, so many impressive wins. I get it. I do think at this point his resume is a bit overhated because people act like he beat nobody when trying to argue he's not in the GOAT status. He beat some good people, but he just simply didn't beat enough. He simply didn't stay around long enough, and that's okay. But I think it just falls a little flat when you compare it to Charles' resume. Having beat Jim Miller, Jared Gordon, Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler, and submitting Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier very similarly to how Khabib did it. Now, I'm not going to play the dumbass game of who finished who faster between their common opponents because that's just stupid and irrelevant, let's be real. In my opinion, the biggest thing for your legacy is simply level of competition you were beating at the time. It's simple as that. How is the level of competition compared to everyone else's? It's simple as that to me, at least. I think that's the most important stat of when comparing legacies. If you feel differently, feel free to say so, but that's my opinion. And another reason I have Charles over Khabib is simply just because Charles is still in the sport and still has more potential to make his resume and legacy even better. And maybe after Chandler versus Charles too, win or lose, Charles has been saying he wants to move up at some point in his career because the weight cut's really bad. And he's a really big lightweight, so maybe he moves up to 170, has some fun there. That would be so fun. I swear this guy would submit so many of these dumbass welterweights. But obviously, that wouldn't really affect his or help his lightweight GOAT status. But I don't think he'll do that. I think win or lose, he'll stay at 155 for now and just continue to add heads to his resume like He'll probably fight Hooker or Gamrot after Chandler. No matter what, he's going to have to fight down the rankings because he's not getting a title shot. He had the chance to fight Islam. He got given it, and he pulled out. And they clearly, I mean, they were going to give it to him, I guess, if he beat Armen, but no one wants to see Charles versus Islam too. I don't want to see Charles get subbed again, guys. I really don't. And yeah, Khabib is retired, done, can't add anything to his legacy at all. And Charles is going to continue. Well, let's hope he continues to win. If he just keeps losing from now on, I guess all this is bullshit I'm saying. But he's going to continue to add impressive heads to his resume. And yeah, just widen the gap between the two even more. Another reason I have to put Charles above Khabib. But now for the actual reason y'all are here for. Why and how Islam is better than both of those guys and deserves to be at the top as the lightweight GOAT. And honestly, my main reason for this is Islam is just the most well-rounded fighter I've ever seen in my life. He is so well-rounded and is exactly what a mixed martial artist should be. And he is the clear, deserving, pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world right now. This man is the definition of a true mixed martial artist. And he's already accomplished more than Charles and Khabib did in his much shorter MMA career. It's just crazy. He's going on one of the most impressive, dominant title runs we've ever seen. And it did take me about, when was it? Because after Charles, I hated Islam. After the Charles fight, I hated him so much. It took me probably about to the first Volk fight, even though I did think he lost it at the time. After rewatching, I realized that, yeah, man, I put my bias aside, and Islam is just dominating everybody. And it's so fun to watch. We're witnessing history right now. Okay, this is where I really get passionate, because this shit is so clear. This man, Islam, has outboxed Dustin Poirier for majority of their 5-round fight, which he got to finish him, by the way. He outboxed who many think is the best boxer we've ever seen in the UFC. So he can outbox you like a boxer. He can throw you around and control you with ease like a real Sambo guy. His takedowns are beautifully timed and executed like a real wrestler. Islam has wins over Armen Tsarukyan, Drew Dober, Bobby Green. Yeah, I'm not calling you king, bro. None other than Charles Oliveira himself, Alexander Volkanovski twice, and Dustin Poirier, his most recent win. And he'll soon, in my opinion, have 2 wins over Armen as well. And I do know a lot of people think Armen's the guy. They think he's the guy to beat Islam at 155, especially after how that first fight went. But I massively disagree. People like to say that Armen was young and he's gotten a lot better, but I think the same thing for Islam, but I think it even more. I think he was young as well. I think he got a lot better as well. And I think he's just in his rhythm right now. I don't see anyone at 155 stopping him. And yeah, Islam has really grown into his body, especially since then. And I think Armen is just really going to be surprised with Islam's pure strength. And it cannot really get much better than completely dominating and finishing Charles Oliveira in the second round to get your belt for the first time. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. That fight, Charles versus Islam, was the first fight where I was 100% sure in my mind that Charles was going to make it look easy. It was the first time I thought a fighter was going to make it look so damn easy, and then the exact opposite happened to my fighter. I was fucking distraught, boys. And that shit happened midday, too. We just had to all sit with it the whole day. It was terrible. And we obviously have to talk about the Volk fights in more detail as well. And yeah, I think I already said it. I'll be real. I thought Volk won that fight on the night of. But then the next couple days, I rewatched it like twice. Because it was such a close fight. But I do think Islam edged it out 3-2 over Volk. And guys, this really might have been the most high-level, high-skill MMA fights we've ever got to see. It was so good. They both were just going crazy, back and forth, competitive on the ground and the feet, just going to war. It was so good. But with Islam's slightly bigger size and slightly better grappling experience, yeah, he was able to slow down Volk's defense at times in the rounds and edge out certain rounds. I know how the end of the fight looks. if you guys are arguing that Volk won it still. I think a lot of you guys died out. I think a lot of people have accepted that Islam won that and just moved on with their lives. But I know there's a few of y'all still coping out there. I know. Yeah, it was just such a competitive and crazy fight, which makes the rematch so sad and so weird and just terrible. Islam knocking out Volkanovski with a head kick, followed by some of the most vicious ground and pound we've ever seen. This was the day where dreams died. You got Volk playing his little tune, coming in the ring, looking like he's about to shit himself. And yeah, Volk realized right then and there that this is what dreams are made of shit. It ain't working tonight. Islam shut that shit down. He completely and utterly, he dominated Volk the one round that it lasted too. Volk just wouldn't do anything, just kept backing up, standing there. Can you really call one round a dominance? You really can, but Islam was so dangerous that night, and Volk just wasn't. And yes, obviously this fight has a huge asterisk next to it, with the fight being taken by Volk on 10 days' notice. But it still is very impressive, okay? I wish it hadn't happened this way. I wish we'd got a second war going to a close decision again, or a late finish in round 5 or something cool. But this is just depressing and sad. And yeah, all because Charles Oliveira got that fucking cut. So yeah, bro, Islam has wins over so many impressive guys. He's got a win over the featherweight GOAT, Volk. He's got a win over the second best lightweight, in my opinion, Charles Oliveira. And he finished both of them. That does so much for his legacy. It's insane. Just those 2 wins alone. And I already know y'all are going to spam in the comments that Khabib made Dustin look easier than Islam, but I don't care. Okay? At least Islam was able to show that he didn't need to use the grappling. He didn't need to. He was able to outstrike Dustin for most of that fight. While Khabib, he didn't have that option. And Islam did. So that simply, instantly makes him the better MMA fighter. All right, not true. It's all opinion. If you guys still think Khabib's a lightweight GOAT, whatever. It's your opinion, but you're wrong, by the way. And I do believe we are witnessing the rise of the GOAT of the sport eventually. I think Islam's going to do it. As long as he's big. He's big for 155. He can go to 170 and win a title. He 100% can. So I think if he's able to get a second belt and defend it twice, oh my God, he's the GOAT. He's better than John. You guys are going to have to let go of that nostalgia. Leave that wife beater in the past. Leave him there. Okay, if you're going to call someone the GOAT, at least say Demetrius or George, because we can't have John as our GOAT, guys. We can't. And I'm not soft for saying that. I'm just have an IQ, okay? But yeah, I think that explained pretty well why Islam is better than Charles and Khabib and is the lightweight GOAT already. That's the biggest argument, because I just know after he beats Armen, everyone's going to hop on and say he is the GOAT of the division, but he already is, okay? He already is, and that's the real fact. I'll see you guys in the next one.